So today I'm going to be reviewing The Perfect Plan. Okay. I don't know any of these actors. I've never seen these actors before, but let's get into it. So as the movie starts, I'm already confused because I guess they're giving us a jump into what's going to happen in the future. But then we set the stage with a young couple. They are looking fine, but it looks like they're having issues conceiving. And I've already seen this story before because we already know maybe he's the one that has to sleep with somebody else, to conceive and figure it out, or whatever. We shall figure it out. I don't really think it'll end well, Sha, because if anybody knows the story of Abraham and Sarah in the Bible, and then Hagar, the maid, and then she started acting different, but we'll get into this. So the wife, straight off the bat, very rude to the maid. Like, what's your problem? Like, you're paying her to do your job. She seems very nice. Like, what's the problem? Like, chill down, relax. But the husband is so nice, and he's actually kind of cute. But the husband is honestly giving me, he's very nice and understanding, and him being attractive also adds to it. But as we go on, we found out that the husband is lying about something big that is holding them back from having children, because he's talking to his friend in the car. And I'm like, how can this husband, who comes off as so nice and caring, be the one that, so is he actually a liar? Like, is he really, like, is he faking what this is? But the husband is very caring and he's considerate. And once they come back from like going to see a doctor, and she finds out the truth that, they can't have kids naturally, he's very understanding. He's like, there are other ways to figure it out. But then she finds out what he was hiding from her. So it turns out that she is the problem, not him. But see, even considering all this, knowing that he's the one she's the one that's the actual problem, he was completely understanding. Like, the fact that that was the secret to protect her, men like that don't exist. So, as this is their new reality, the wife is rushing. Madame is like, yo, we have to have the baby. We have to have a baby. And he's like, relax. We just found this out. Nobody's in a rush here. Like, there are many options. Like, we don't need to jump into something that we don't truly understand. But I can understand from her like what she's coming from. She feels that her home might be in jeopardy. If you're Nigerian or you're African, like, you understand, like, everybody will say, oh, your village people, your mother or your husband's family will come and bring another wife into the house. Now you're now fighting for your house, and then you're fighting for your husband too. But you can already tell that the wife is plotting something. So then the wife, who's really mean to the maid, is all of a sudden nice to her. Like, what is going on? Like what are you trying to do here? So the wife starts to treat the husband really nice. It's like, I'm gonna give you a massage, I'm gonna take care of you. And he's looking at her like, what is this for? And she's like, my husband. Can I not love on you correctly? But he already knows something is up. So you know what Madame says? Madame now says, oh girl, the maid can have the baby for us. Oh guys, like, hell to the motherfucking no. There's no way. It's like he just in his mind was reciting the story of Abraham and Sarah in the Bible, and we all know how that went. So in the midst of the couple trying to figure out what they're gonna do, the maid is having like an existential crisis because she can't get in contact with her sister, which is her only family in this world. So then eventually her sister calls her, and she finds out her sister is in Libya. And she's like, what do you mean you're in Libya? You're supposed to be in Canada. But while they're trying to have a conversation, the line goes dead. And then the maid is crying and she's upset. And then Madame comes in and is like, oh, what's going on? And then she kind of tells Madame, like, her only sister is like, she doesn't know where she is. She can't get in contact with her. Like, she's worried. And then the husband is so considerate and says, oh yeah, I can, help try to find her sister. And Madame is just looking at him like, what are you doing? You're doing too much. So after Madame finds out that, she doesn't really have family, if she can't get in contact with her sister, Madame is now starting to be really nice to her and like, oh yeah, you're our family. And Madame is still pushing the idea to a guy like, hey, husband, like, just sleep with the maid. Like, she can just have the kid for us. She's already here. Like, she's already part of the family, yada, yada, yada. And then Madame asks the maid slyly, like she doesn't tell the maid the reason that she wants the husband to talk to her about something or to meet her in her room. That's how she actually sets it up. She sets it up that the maid should go and meet Olga, and Olga would tell her to help him with something. But she already told the husband. The maid already knows the whole deal. Hey, madness. But the maid, being very nice and caring, she's like, yes, madam, I'll help you guys with anything. So the maid says, okay, Olga can meet me when he's, when he comes back from the office, and we can have a conversation or whatever. And then she finally convinced the wife finally convinced the husband to go and sleep with the maid, because he believes that the wife already told the maid the whole deal. So Olga goes to the maid's room, and the maid opens the door, and she's already in a towel, because I guess she was like taking a shower. So he's looking at her like, oh, she must already know. And then before he can even say anything, she's like, oh, madame already told me what to do. Hey, they now go fast forward quickly. She's now in bed, covering her body. She's crying. Olga just like gets up and leaves. And then Olga now gets up and leaves, and then he goes to his wife, and he's really upset, and he's like, did you know she was a virgin? Jesus Christ. Olga is not happy at all. He is not happy with this arrangement. If he had known the full details, he said he wouldn't have done it. And thinking about it, you could have gone to find a random girl on the street, and money talks, right? If you guys are rich, the right number, somebody will definitely do this for you. Or you could have gone like the normal surrogacy route, like an actual professional service with a contract and everything, but that's neither here or there. So after the incident, Madame goes into the kitchen and she sees the maid, and then she brings up the topic, and she says, oh, I heard what you did with my husband. And the maid is about to get on her knees and beg Madame, and says, Madame, I didn't know. And Madame's like, please, you're actually helping us out here. Like, just let me know if anything changes with your body. And she now starts buying the girl clothes and things, just sit, try to ginger her up, make her feel like she's a part of the family, like a friend. In the meantime, her husband is losing his mind at what he did. At the end of the day, this guy is a wholeheartedly good person. He can't come to terms with the fact that he did this for his wife, but at the detriment of a girl's innocence. So time passes, and we all know what happens next. Ding, 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 ding. The maid starts to throw up. And we all know that means pregnancy has landed. The baby is forming. Madame is looking so happy. And she even tells Olga, we're pregnant. She's pregnant. And he's even happy because he's still under the impression that the maid was aware of the whole situation from the beginning. So Olga goes to the maid to say thank you again, and don't worry, we'll take care of everything. The maid is not really looking happy about the situation, and then the maid lets him know that she did not know anything about any arrangement for her to get pregnant for them. So Olga goes ballistic. He loses his mind. He goes off on Madame. He goes crazy, and then he feels even worse that he slept with a virgin, and this girl had no idea. So he basically raped this girl. But he comes to terms with, this is what it is. This is the reality of the situation. And then both of them tell the maid to relax. And Madame herself even said, I will handle everything. I don't want you cooking. I don't want you cleaning. I want you to avoid all stress. We jump forward some months, and the maid is still struggling with the fact that she's not supposed to be doing any work. But it's like this playful thing, and Madame is buying gifts. They're doing movie nights. The baby is kicking, all those things. And then it comes to due date. So she's having labor pains. Everybody's rushing in the house to get her to the hospital. And then she has a beautiful baby girl. So Madame goes to see the maid and the baby in their room, and then the maid says that she's named the baby, which pisses Madame off. So she now goes to tell her husband that the maid has to go because people are going to figure out that she's not the one who had the baby. Yes, this whole time she was pretending to be pregnant. The maid was just stuck in the house. But the husband, being a good guy, is like, what are you talking about? Like, how are you gonna kick a woman who just had a baby out of the house because of to save face? Like, what are you saying? But the husband, being smart, is like, you have to take it easy because you didn't sign an agreement with this girl. You tricked this girl into having this child. She can take our child away from us. So Madame, being a mad woman, she comes up with the idea to tell the maid that she forgot something outside by the junction, that she should go to the junction to ask one woman there that's holding something for her. So while the maid is away, Madame has packed the maid's clothes. She's packed everything that girl came to that house with, puts it right by the gate. As the maid comes to the gate and knocks on the gate, Madame opens the gate and says, "Oh yeah, you're not coming back into this house. You think we're gonna be best friends after you just gave birth to my child?" But the maid was kind of fighting, like, "Oh, let me at least see my baby. Let me see my baby." Madame said, "Heck to the Kino, get the frick out." So Madame kicked her out, threw her luggage out, and gave her an envelope with money. And then when our guy comes downstairs, this is all happening within the same moment that they had the conversation about the maid has to go. He comes downstairs, same, like just a little while later, like, "Oh, where's the maid that, I'm still not okay with like getting rid of her, but I guess I understand." And the wife says, "Don't worry, you don't have to worry about her. She's gone." Our guy's like, "Huh? Did we not just have this conversation?" So the maid is walking down their street and she's just tired and confused and she doesn't know what to do. So she ends up at a woman's front door, and I guess she slept there overnight. And then the woman comes in and she's like, "Hello, who are you?" And then the maid says, "Oh, I'm so-and-so's sister. She said I should come here if I ever had an issue." And then the friend starts screaming, "Oh my gosh, I found you." And it turns out that this woman that she met and went to her house is her sister's best friend who went to Canada, who was supposed to go to Canada with her sister. So, she gave a story of, they didn't end up in Canada, they ended up in Libya because it was a human trafficking scam. And then a little while later, the maid's sister shows up and, it's a happy reunion. She's happy. And then she gives a story of, everything that happened in Libya. And she really, really suffered. Like, she suffered so bad through prostitution. But she was able to kill her captor and she got away with $20 million. And then the maid told her sister the whole wahala, that she just had a baby and that her madame took the child, and her sister was pissed because they actually found out the madame only gave her 300,000 naira. Like, are you kidding me? For 9 months of work? But a guy was feeling, he felt some type of way about it, and he was telling his friend all about this stuff, and his friend was like, "Yo, look for the maid. Like, I can even tell, like, she's on your mind. Like, look for her and check up on her." So a guy heads upstairs, to go and talk to his wife, and then he hears Madame is talking on the phone with her friend, and she knew that she had no womb. This woman had done abortion finish before she married this man. And then she knew she could not have a child, and she was telling her friend, "Oh, if a man loves you, there's nothing that you can do, that he will love you, he will do everything," that she planned this whole thing. Jesus Christ, this woman is a mass manipulator. Evil. And then our guy's listening to all this behind the door, and he drops his water because he's in shock. And then she hears that somebody's by the door. As she opens the door, our guy says, "Yeah, you idiot, get out of my house." He's now packing all of our stuff, throwing our stuff down, kicking her out, throwing everything out, saying, get out, you're a horrible person," all this stuff. And now, with knowing everything he knows now, he feels so bad because the maid was kicked out and the wife never told him where he is. But then, boom, as he's about to open the door to his house, the maid and her sister and the sister's best friend are at the door, and they've come and they said, "Oh, what you did to my sister is horrible, you're horrible people." And then the Oga says, "Just wait." Oga goes to get the baby girl, and he gives the maid the baby girl, and he says, "You can do anything you want, I totally understand, but Madame is not here, we are divorcing, because I didn't like how she treated you, and I found out some things." So next thing we see is you know, a big black car is driving into the compound of the sister's friend where the maid went to when she first left their house. So Olga gets out of the car and the maid comes out with the baby, and I guess there's some sort of arrangement that he can come and see the baby once in a while, you know. Love is blooming. And as Olga and the maid are talking, you know, the sister and her friend are snooping through the window, and the sister is not having it. Like, you know, it's like a big sister trying to protect her little sister. She's like, I don't care. I don't like this man. I don't like it at all. But then the friend is like, relax. Like, he's showing interest. He's showing effort, you know, give the guy a shot. So eventually the maid moves in with a guy, and they move in with the baby, and then the sister comes with her to say, okay, I'm okay with her living with you, but I trust that, you know, you will meet our family members and do the traditional thing. And the guy's like, yes, of course, you know, everything will be done perfectly the way it's supposed to. And then he thanks the maid for coming back to the house with the baby, and they hug. Oh my gosh, this movie was actually pretty good. It was somewhat predictable, but I like the story overall, and I always love a happy ending.